And you don't need me to tell you, but I'm going to remind you, good morning, it's Friday, which means after your working day's done and mine's nearly over, you can kick back, relax, chillax, plenty of football around, other things you may be doing with yourself or your family, but also to relax, some fantastic films on the TV. In fact, we've got half a dozen suggestions for the weekend. Freeview offerings, one and all, courtesy of me, Paul Ross, but more importantly, one of the country's leading film critics, Mr. Van Connor, joins us once again. Good, man who deserves a VC for services to cinema, as in a Van Connor. Good morning, Van, how you doing?
Well, an intro like that, I could not possibly be doing any better, Mr. Ross. How are you doing, sir?
Very well. Have you seen any big films this week that maybe you can't give us a verdict on yet, but they're kind of up and coming, as they say?
Do you know what? I've seen some bangers this week. Do you know there's a new version out in cinemas today of The Count of Monte Cristo, a 3-hour long...
It's a French language version, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, French language. And it might be... I've seen 8 or 9 different versions of The Count of Monte Cristo. This one might be the best one. Wow,
OK, well, that's on my list now if it turns up at a multiplex near me. And you've got some great offerings, one of which I was going to go for, but I thought I bet Van Connor nicks this one. And it's a Martin Scorsese remake, which isn't something we say that often, although he did do it, didn't he, with Cape Fear, and he did it with The Departed, which is your first choice this morning. Good morning again.
He did indeed with Cape Fear, and funnily enough, he traded Cape Fear with Spielberg. Scorsese was originally doing Schindler's List, and Spielberg was doing Cape Fear, and they switched it the other way around because they thought that between the two of them, Spielberg with his heritage would make more sense doing Schindler's List. Obviously, the rest is history, and Cape Fear's a banger. It might be the best Scorsese movie in my opinion, but I know I'm kind of an outlier on that one. However, the one that finally got him his Oscar, as you pointed out, in 2006, was his second remake. It's an adaptation of the Japanese trilogy Infernal Affairs, remade here as The Departed, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Martin Sheen, an Oscar-nominated Mark Wahlberg.
Wait. West Ham thoroughbred Ray Winston's got to be on that list as well, hasn't he, for this film?
Do you know, he was so far down the list. It's a long list. It's a long list. Like, Ray Winston's like named number 9, I think, on such a long. I didn't even get to Vera Farmiga. But you know what? Banger movie. And you know what? You're right. Ray Winston is amazing. I think you're going to hear him in the clip in a moment. This is the story of 2 undercover agents. One is working for the mob and is undercover in the police, and that's Matt Damon. And one is undercover in the mob working for the police, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio. So you've got a cop pretending to be a criminal pretending to be a cop. Never the twain shall meet, except for the fact that they do periodically without knowing who the other is. It's an absolute cat and mouse thriller. It's the kind of thing Scorsese is so good at. I think this held the record until Wolf of Wall Street for the number of F-bombs dropped in a movie, believe it or not. Like, only Scorsese holds this rank with Goodfellas, then The Departed, then The Wolf of Wall Street. So the man has a patois, let's say. It's on Film 4 tonight, 9 o'clock. If you've never seen The Departed, I cannot recommend highly enough that you start watch this tonight, 9 o'clock. You'll be done by about, 12, 1 o'clock. It's a long one, but it's a good one.
Can I just say, as a tribute, and I know we all know this, but this is one of those many films that remind you of what a fantastic actor Jack Nicholson is, because he doesn't just exude menace in this, and you feel nervous every time he's on the screen, but he has to do that thing all stars have to do. He has to first of all make you forget he's the Jack Nicholson from As Good As It Gets, or The Witches of Eastwick. It's not Jack you want to spend a night on the town with. This is a Jack you should run a mile from. And the fact he can do that so quickly in this film shows you what a remarkable actor he is, I think.
Oh, absolutely. There's a great story. You can check out, there's an interview you can check out, I think it's on TikTok, YouTube, whatever. A great interview with Ray Winston where he talks about Jack Nicholson's improvisation during one of the execution scenes.
Oh dear.
And it's just, and it's meant to be just a single shot of him just murdering someone. And Jack Nicholson just adds a little bit of dialogue that's in the film, and Ray Winston kind of cracks in the scene, and it's completely natural. And you just get the impression that just working with Jack Nicholson for a day must be the greatest experience of your life. So, with no further ado, I'll pass you over to the clip. I believe this is Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg, and Martin Sheen. This is the cop side dealing with the stress of being undercover under Jack Nicholson's mafia family.
Film 4 tonight. Enjoy.
Hey, what do you think? You can pop somebody and there's a special card to play? That guy Jimmy Bags, whose jaw you broke, happens to work undercover for the Boston Police Department.
I'm going nuts, man. I can't be someone else every
day.
It's been a year of this. I've had enough of this.
Calm down, all right? Most of the people in the world do it every day. What's the big deal?
Well, I'm not them, all right? I'm not them, okay?
Exactly. You're nobody. You signed the papers, remember? Now, we're the only 2 people on the face of this earth that even know you're a cop. How about we just erase your file? huh? How about that? How about we erase your file, and then bang, you're just another soldier for Costello, open to arrest for I don't know how many felonies, huh? What do you say we do that, Captain?
I'm gonna kill you, huh? I'm gonna kill you. That was a joke. Come on.
It wasn't a joke. Just because you play a tough guy doesn't mean you are when you lace curtain Irish.
Hey!
Blimey, Charlie, I forgot how quickly the violence escalates in that one there. And that great kind of Bostonian accent drawl they do so perfectly in that film.
Are you a knock?
A knack, as in one of your favourite films. It's Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy film, isn't it? Now,
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
let me turn to my first loving. Could not be more different to Departed in some ways, because there's star power in this film, but it wasn't regarded that way at the time. It wasn't actually cinema release first time around. It was released on the TV, I think, for film for which only just arrived. It's from 1983, directed by Mike Leigh, and Mike Leigh, as I'm sure people know, in those days had a much more loose way of working with actors. He'd talk to them about the characters. They developed their own scenarios. They often would tell the other actors what was going on in their mind, in their characters' lives. So it was all very fresh, natural, and this film is funny. And it's funny in a wonderful working class English-British way from the early 80s when, Margaret Thatcher was elected in 1979. We'd had the Falklands War. There was still unemployment coming out of a big recession and depression. The miners' dispute was going on. And this is set in a kind of estate sort of south of the river, somewhere Greenwich, Peckham way. Not the Greenwich now of the Millennium Dome. Not the Greenwich of kind of environmentally friendly buildings. A Greenwich that looks like, and was pretty much, I suppose, like the Del Boy and Rodney wasteland. So you've got a family with the stresses and strains of a normal family going on. You've got Gary Oldman's character, who's this thuggish, endearing, but very frightening skinhead. We've also got Tim Roth as the most... this is the Tim Roth who turns up them being in Reservoir Dogs and couldn't be cooler, and in Pulp Fiction. In this, he basically plays the Gormley's son, but he's brilliant. Phil Daniels in it as well. Some of the improv dialogue is so... it became like kind of catchphrase in my family. There's one moment when Phil Daniels walking up and down the hall of their tower block flat, and he's rubbing his belly, and he says, "I've just had a horrible hamburger." And that kind of sums up what their life is like. You've got the sauce bottles on the table. It's very much late 70s, early 80s. I love this film, I must say. Not seen it for a couple of years, and it's turned up on Talking Pictures TV, which is on a Freeview channel, of course. It's 10:10 tonight. It's called Meantime, and it's partly about waiting for life to kind of kick in for Tim Roth's character and other things as well. It's a fantastic... this is an actor's piece of work, as all Mike Leigh stuff is, but it's also, I think, a real slice of the time and just a funny, moving, but above all, very funny film. 10:10 tonight, Meantime. Here's a little chunk of the trailer. I think they showed it at the Venice Film Festival. What they made of that over there, I've got no idea. Let's take you down to south of the river, Greenwich Way, and Meantime.
Colin is having a very bad day.
What are you doing Monday?
His family isn't doing much better. From Mike Leigh, the Academy Award-nominated director of Secrets and Lies, Career Girls, and Life is Sweet.
That's the washing machine. That's the dryer.
A bittersweet comedy of life in the working-class streets of London. And the story of a family whose hard luck is the only luck they have.
I told you, Deborah, open it.
Starring Gary Oldman of Air Force One and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
They made me quiet.
Tim Roth of Pulp Fiction and Gridlock, and Alfred Molina of Before and After and the Perez Family.
You ain't getting one. What? Because you're an ugly bastard.
Just when you thought life couldn't get any worse.
20 years of clothing, you're feeding, you're wiping your noses, wiping your asses.
You talking about? When do you ever wipe their asses?
Meantime, they're one big happy family.
I wanted to play that American trailer because obviously they tried to market this as some kind of friendly, sort of Roseanne-type rom-com film, and it really isn't that. But, they could have mentioned Alfred Molina from Spider-Man. He played Dr. Octopus, but it gets down...
man.
Nobody knew how to flog this film. The dialogue is funny, it's so authentic and real and raw, and if you doubt, look up the whole of that trailer because it's just... they try... It's like... Have you seen The Shining recut as a rom-com? The Kubrick Shining, they've done...
I have. It's like Jack Nicholson.
He's got away with words, but not with the ladies. Is all that kind of... Anyway, so that's on to 10:10. What's your second recommendation for us, Van?
I don't think anything's living up to that trailer, to be honest, Paul.
He was in Into with the Vampire. Yeah, he was, but he's in a Peckham Council estate now in this film.
Tim Roth. It's just amazing. Sorry. I've got something that's marginally as fun, but I don't think quite, if I'm honest. So Saturday night, film for 11:35. This is from the two guys who they formed a production duo known as Radio Silence. Their names are Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and I think Tyler Gillette. I think this is their first like full film. They had worked on the VHS, the horror anthology series before this. They went on to direct movies in the Scream series in recent years, like Scream 5, 6, that kind of thing. This is from 2018. It's called Ready or Not, and it stars Margot Robbie's clone, Samara Weaving. For like, the one everyone thinks is Margot Robbie but isn't, and she is the bride who marries into a rich family, only to discover this rich family, who are actually the sort of the heirs of this board gaming empire, card gaming, board gaming kind of empire, have this annual this tradition where when one of them gets married, they hunt them to the death. And if they survive, they get to be in the family. So I mean, it's almost as funny as Gary Oldman, but not quite. It's got a banging cast that includes, say Samara Weaving, Andy McDowell, Henry Czerny, Adam Brody. Absolutely cracking cast. It's brutal and hilarious. It's very violent, but also very blackly comedic as well. So say, film for Saturday night, 11:35. This one is an absolute corker. I haven't had the chance to revisit this in a couple of years. I think I watched this during lockdown, like 2020. I think I'd reviewed it 2 years previous. I caught it in 2020 again. And I'm looking forward to seeing this again because it didn't disappoint on the rewatch. And with horror, slasher, thrillers, especially with a bit of comedy, that does tend to be a thing. So I've got a clip for you. This is, I believe this is Adam Brody coming back into the mix mid-hunt, happening upon his prey mid-hunt in Ready or Not.
I'm looking forward to it. I've not even heard of this film before, so I'll have a chat with Van. It's film for tonight. Here we go.
I have to call the others.
No, you don't. No. You can help me, please.
This doesn't end well for you. I just don't want to be the one to serve you up.
Daniel, I'm begging you.
I'm really sorry about all this. It's true what they say, the rich really are different. I'll give you a 10-second head start.
Wow, that does sound like a great film. That's on tonight, and then kind of The Most Dangerous Game, but after a wedding. Now, my second recommendation is tomorrow afternoon, 20 to 3 in the Old Money on BBC Two. I don't think I've recommended this one before. It's Elvis Presley's second film, directed by a man called Richard Thorpe, who'd been working at MGM for the longest time. I think his career goes seriously goes kind of way back to like the 1930s. And it was Elvis' second film because Love Me Tender had been a surprise. It was going to be called the Reno Brothers Love Me Tender. And the Elvis fans went bonkers for Elvis, went bonkers for them. They renamed it Love Me Tender after the song at the end. And this was Elvis much more like the way the public perceived him, in that he plays, the old cliche, kid from the wrong side of the tracks, goes to prison. There's a guy in his prison cell who kind of teaches him the ropes, looks after him, but also says, you've got a voice, kid, we could do something with that, and gets him to sign a contract, and then Elvis gets out. So it's basically a sort of Star is Born, Rise of Elvis type film. Just some great numbers in this, including the iconic Jailhouse Rock setting itself. It's like it's almost like if Busby Berkeley were to have directed an Elvis film, I think that sequence has got Busby Berkeley written all over it, recreated for the 68 comeback special. And as I think I've bored you to death about Elvis in the past, I know, but King Creole, his fourth film, is my favourite of his films, and that was one of my choices. But the first four, Love Me Tender, he's almost a smaller part in it. Jailhouse Rock's fantastic. Loving You is fantastic, his first colour film, as is then back to black and white for King Creole. This is black and white. Some great songs, including Baby I Don't Care. I mean, just brilliant songs. Jailhouse Rock itself, of course. And What's Not to Love? I don't know whether it's going to be raining. Record it, download, do what you do with films these days, and stick it on when you're having a kind of dull old afternoon somewhere. Nothing perks you up like the King behind bars saying the whole rhythm section was the Purple Gang, an actual gang that was operating in Detroit when Lee Steller wrote that song. So, I bored you enough. Can we have a bit of the trailer, Van? Let's have the trailer, shall we? Have you got a favourite Elvis film? Can you kind of take or leave them as movies?
I mean, I to be honest with you, I've seen all of the Elvis movies over and over.
All 31.
My late grandmother.
All 31. Good for you.
I've got to be in the late 20s. I'm sure there's a couple I haven't seen, but I've got to be. My grandmother was an Elvis obsessive, and she made me watch all of them. Well, as far as she knew all of them, I'm sure she did not have the full 31. I'm saying late 20s conservatively.
Yeah.
I think it might be Jailhouse Rock for me, if I'm honest. I really love Jailhouse Rock. I remember that being one that I really enjoyed.
Great songs by Lieber and Stoller mainly. Great performance by Elvis. Fine direction. A black and white classic. 20 to 3 tomorrow afternoon. Here's a chunk of the trailer from 1957.
Yes, you know this young man. You've heard more about him than any star personality in the modern entertainment world. Yet, here is an Elvis Presley you've never seen before. Vince Everett, dynamically portrayed by Elvis Presley, was a tough blackboard jungle kid who became even tougher under the influence of his jailhouse cellmate. A terrific performance by Mickey Shaughnessy.
I'm an animal in a jungle, and I got a motto. Do unto others as they would do unto you, only do it first.
Do it first. That's right.
Jailhouse Rock is the astounding success story of this rebel with a voice that rocked the world.
I guess it's just because you were so square. Baby, I don't care.
Great film, mad film, as is my final recommendation, which I think we may have mentioned before once or thrice, from 1971. It is, The Long Good Friday is great. Some of the other, because the Croupier film was good, I thought more recently, but this, Get Carter, 1971, is an absolute horrible, scary, with a psychopathic central character played by Michael Caine, one of his best performances and one of his most dislikable performances. You want to spend 2 minutes with this bloke anywhere, and basically based on a book called Jack's Return Home by Ted Lewis, who I think may have had it became a TV writer as well, but it was, and this film was, from when the novel was published, this film was made within 8 months of the novel being published. They bought it immediately. Mike Hodges, who'd done a couple of kind of gangster things on TV, was given the directing duties. He wanted Ian Hendry, who plays the chauffeur-type character with eyes like wee holes in the snow, as Michael Caine says at one point, to play the lead. Michael Caine was signed because he'd read the book and liked the idea of it, and he's fantastic in this. It's also got Britt Eklund, who's done some saucy phone sex with Michael Caine, which comes back to bite him on the bum. The man who wrote Look Back in Anger, great playwright, John Osborne, plays the hideous, really decadent gang leader all set in the North East, and North East has now largely vanished. It's a kind of documentary feel to it as well. And this is just a full-on film with some of the most quotable lines in cinema, British cinema anyway, you know. You're a big man, but you're out of shape. It's a business. Behave yourself. He says that to Brian Moseley, who played Alf, the shopkeeper in Coronation Street. There's all kinds of great characteristics turn up in this. It is very grim and gritty. Everybody in it, even his niece, who's up there to help, his brother's been killed, basically. He's going to try and find out. He goes back home to the North East with not a trace of a Geordie accent to try and find out what's going on. And he does. It's like a one-man revenge machine. And this, I mean, I'm not overstating this, I don't think, am I, man? This is a very important film in British cinema and just a great movie.
Oh, it's a fantastic movie. This is an all-timer. This is arguably, I would say, this is Michael Caine for the very first time really stepping outside of his comfort zone, doing something a lot grittier, a lot more raw, and I mean, on a personal level for me, it also gives way to one of the worst remakes in history. So,
Stallone, Paul, God bless him. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Stallone and Mickey Rourke in year 2000, which was abysmal. And but you know what? It's a banger. This showed me a Michael Caine like I still to this day. I don't think outside of Harry Brown. I think I'll give you Harry Brown, and other than that, you've never seen a Michael Caine like it.
Because in the Mona Lisa film, we recommended a couple of weeks ago, he's more like the John Osborne character. He's above it all, isn't he? In this one, and there's a scene when he kind of catches up with Ian Hendry's character, who's another violent guy working for a gangster, and he has a conversation with him, which is he says things like, yeah, because that can come back and bite you, can't it? And it's all about the threats of things that have happened in the past. They never reveal it, but it gives it more reality, I think, in that way. So I've stopped my yakking. It's on 10 o'clock, Sunday night. I'm sure you've seen it before. If you haven't, you're in for a right old treat. Michael Caine in a black trench coat with a sawn-off shotgun, or even better, walking into the street naked with a sawn-off shotgun to see off the two men who've come to kill him while he's enjoying shenanigans with the landlady of the house. It's a film you've got to see. Get Carter from 1971, BBC 2, 10 o'clock, Sunday night.
One day, a professional killer went home to visit his family and found his brother murdered.
Now, who killed him?
I don't know nothing.
And listen, the only reason I came back to this crap house was to find out who did it. And I'm not leaving till I do.
Michael Caine is Carter, a man with unbridled hate.
Do you want to be dead, Albert?
For Christ's sake!
You knew what I'd do, didn't you, Albert?
Christ, I didn't kill him! I know you didn't!
When a professional killer hates, he turns animal. And there becomes but one law in the underworld jungle. Get Carter. Get Carter. Before Carter gets you.
He's got me already. I'm watching that again Sunday night. So what's your final recommendation for us, Van?
One of my favourite movies ever made. And I was 14 when this came out.
Did you lose your heart to it?
I did indeed lose my heart to a Starship Trooper. In fact, I lost my heart to a very specific Starship Trooper, and her name was Denise Richards. Oh. So, I was 14 when this came out. I loved it then. I still love it now. Every single friend in my life loves Starship Troopers. I bond with people immediately if they love Starship Troopers. Adaptation of the Robert A. Heinlein novel. It bears no resemblance to the novel. It's worth noting. It is. It's brought to us by writer Ed Neumeyer and director Paul Verhoeven, the duo who gave us RoboCop. 10 years previous, in 1987, this sees them sort of reforming that same sort of unique signature and formula, the idea of the intercut adverts and the fascistic kind of satire. But this is humanity going to war with a race of alien bugs known as arachnids. It's insane. It has a banging cast that includes a bunch of sort of teenage idiots who I'll get to in a moment, alongside a veteran cast of people like Michael Ironside and Clancy Brown. But I have to stress that the teenage idiots, are a very specific choice. Paul Verhoeven has in years since said, look, I cast people who were very pretty and couldn't act because they're meant to be very pretty teenagers who don't have half a brain. So it made sense. This is also a movie so insane that during the production of it, during the sort of intergender, very graphic shower scenes, Paul Verhoeven himself would strip naked and jump in the shower with them to film them.
These days, all kinds of questions would be asked, would they not, about that process?
They would. Clancy Brown did an interview recently in which he said that it was the most fun experience of his life because Paul Verhoeven would put a tennis ball on the end of a broom and try and attack him in the face whilst yelling things like, I'm a bug, try and kill me. It's the kind of thing you only get away with if you're the man that made RoboCop and Showgirls. You know what I mean? And best of all, and this is the part that I love because I was 14 at the time, this got advertised at the time. This got marketed using the then bleeding edge new pop culture sensation that was Blur's Song 2.
Yes.
And you can see this Sunday night, 9 p.m. IT. It's like a 90-minute long film. You'd be over by 11, so you can still get in bed.
It's a masterpiece.
Plenty of time. Yeah, be up for work in plenty of time. At 9 p.m. Sunday night, ITV4. This is Michael Ironside's school teacher, lecturing the kids who are going to eventually become his soldiers.
And we should say it also features a fantastic, very smug, cocky performance from Neil Patrick Harris, better known as Doogie Howser, MD. So it's a great film. This is on Sunday.
Barney Stinson.
90 minutes long, Starship Troopers. What's not to love?
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me.
We get you, sir!
Welcome to the Roughnecks.
Ratcats Roughnecks!
At ease, listen up. Got a new Sky Marshal and a new battle plan. Gonna clean out the systems outlying Clendathu one planet at a time. Tomorrow we hit Tango Urilla. After Fleet glasses the planet, MI mops up. Carry on.
Michael Ironside. I think your name is Frederick Reginald. He's not Reginald, he's a Michael Ironside. That is a great film. He was great in Scanners as well, wasn't he? The early 90s, early 80s Cronenberg films. Some great movies this week, I think. You don't have to pay your money because it's on Freeview and you take your choice. And Van is off screen back on this morning, available as a podcast to download for 8 a.m. normally, isn't it, if it's on?
It is 8 a.m. indeed. We're very happy to be doing this. I think we had 5 films this week, and 4 of them were absolute bangers. One of them might be the worst film of the year so far, but 4 of them were absolute gorgeous. Have you heard about Sing Sing?
I have, yeah. In fact, we spoke about it with Mon yesterday, Mon Warman, and he, I mean, it's online, his view of it. He thought it's a really good kind of drama, intense drama, kind of prison drama. It reminded me of what he said of almost like a theatrical-based version, it's not like Birdman of Alcatraz, the real story.
Yeah, I mean, it's about a prison-based theatre troupe, but it actually uses actors who were in the real theatre.
Wow.
They've never had any actual film experience before. Ammon and I very rarely agree on films, but on this occasion, we actually are in line. Absolute corker. You can hear Adam Ball and I talking about that on podcast platforms on the Off-Screen show from 8 a.m, along with, as I say, a pretty blisteringly awesome new adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo, which I know you'll appreciate. Of all people, Paul, you clearly love a bit of classic literature.
I love a bit of Alexander Dumas, and I'm interested to find out what you and your mate think is the worst film of the year so far. So we'll find out that by downloading that great podcast. Of course, it's called Off Screen, available for good podcast providers. And Van Connor joins us each and every Friday. We're blessed to have him talking through his Freeview film recommendations of the week, and we're live till 5.